Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. The courtroom went quiet. Then the Gene Hackman's daughter was found guilty, once fighting for a piece of his huge fortune is now on the verge of a fate she didn't see coming. Was she really taking part in her father's strange dying? Or is this a sad case of? The level of mistrust is rising quickly, as shocking new information comes to light and legal. The case takes a look at what experts think. Scary turn. The truth is worse than anyone could have thought of it. Stay tuned, because you know what's coming next. This story will change the way you look at it forever. Gene Hackman was a man of undeniable ability and a strong pride in his work, but behind the glitz and glamour in Hollywood and an Oscar performances lie a personal battle that kept coming back to him his whole life. His tense friendship with his children, while people admired his in the passion of his family, often felt the man behind the wheel go away. Hackman's 3 kids play his children: Christopher, Elizabeth, Leslie, and Elizabeth were born during his first marriage to Faye Maltese in the 1960s. Hackman was still a poor actor trying to make a name for himself in a harsh business. The family lived in a small New York apartment room where money problems were a fact of life for them. Their house is cold water. Walk-up didn't have simple comforts like heat, hot water, or both. And Faye took on the responsibility of raising their kids while Hackman went after his dreams. As his career took off with his important part in Bonnie and Clyde, in 1967, the signs of fame turned into both a gift and a curse. The more that he became, the farther away he got from Hackman was always on with his family. Months at a time, movies are shot on location, leaving his kids without a dad, someone to lead them. His absence left the one that was later admitted to be possible to fully fix. I lost touch on how to help my son early on. I went on, he admitted in an interview in 2011. It might have had something to do with being so busy making movies, in real places when he needed help because of his age, help and direction. It was hard for me to leave for 3 months and then come back and begin to order him around. The effect thoughts of his fame hung over his kids' lives. In an interview in 2000, Hackman worked with the Irish Independent, showed how much his success meant to his family. It's hard to be the son or daughter of a famous person. I couldn't be with them at home all the time when they were as a child, and then living in California, they always have my success hanging in the air, over their heads. Despite the fame, Hackman secretly got money and praise, felt bad about the choices he made. He finally got married to Faye Maltese. They broke under the stress and split up in 1986, and his son Christopher in one thing that suffered from the lack of a presence of a father, and sometimes there it got so bad in the relationship that of getting lost. The same man who played strong, powerful characters on screen, not being able to do anything about making up for the emotional gap with his Hackman, didn't have any kids though. Don't worry about his flaws when he got married. Betsy Arakawa, a musician, was his second wife. 1991. She played a big role in his Betsy's attempts to get back in touch with his family and told him to invite his kids back into his life and making their house a place where they could meet again. Reports say that these moments were every helpful to Hackman, letting him make up for the years you lost to goal setting and space. By 2020, sources proven that Hackman's relationship with his grown children and even his grandkids were better, but he could never get back the time he lost. He found comfort in the links he was able to rebuild. Tragedy karma. But when Hackman and Betsy were 24 years old, found dead in their home in New Mexico. Betsy died from the ghost virus, while Hackman died of heart disease with Alzheimer's disease as AA role. The news shocked everyone, waves in and out of Hollywood making people aware of how fragile there is life after all. Even for heroes, a moment, his attention turned to the Hackman's death happened in strange ways. Death. And then how much his estate was worth, $80 million. Was his last deal worth more days than everyone thought? We are about to tell you shocking news specifics about Gene Hackman's death. Look into something that no one saw coming. When Gene Hackman died, it wasn't long, but it was sad and missed. Before the events that led to his death made people look twice. While there were reports of natural cause, hints of something more dangerous began going around, pulling his name into an unexpected mystery. Now police are said to be deep into an study that goes below the surface. Something that seemed like a bad, straightforward going through investigators have started going over medical data, call logs, and CCTV video from the area in Antry to rule out possible foul play, while no solid proof of wrongdoing has come to light. But sources say that the case isn't closed yet. But one of the surprising things are happening in this. The suspected involvement is the investigation report from Hackman's daughter, Leslie, imply that she is also being looked at, who called her and what they said. Communications that are being looked over as part of the ask about Leslie Ann Hackman, who was born in 1966, is the youngest child of Hollywood star Gene Hackman, and his first wife, Leslie, has Maltese instead of her father, chosen to live a quiet life as a result of limited knowledge about her personal and work life. She has stayed out of the spotlight and specifics about her present job. A lot of people don't live and work in known. Leslie told them how shocked she was and being worried about the situation, saying, "I think I'm very eager to find out what went wrong, and I can't find out how long they had been dead." The police are said to be looking into her interactions in the days before the Hackman died, while looking for any problems or signs of a force. The nature of the study, the public still doesn't know, but what people think about Leslie's taking part has only added fuel to Ann's story that was already making waves. Was she just an unlucky person involved in the death of her father? Or is there more to the story than meets the eye, their friends and family have said? Some people didn't believe the reports, calling the probe a desperatory to find a story where there isn't one there, but others have pointed out there were problems between Hackman and his children were well known over the years, which added a layer of mystery to the situation. Could involve past family fights, have something to do with the last chapter, an important part of Hackman's life, as evidence do their work and the police dig. The world watches with bated breath. Deeper, breathe and wait for replies. Gene Hackman's work as an actress lives on, unaltered, but his last days may soon be here. Show a story that is much more complicated than Hollywood has ever written. Another saw Gene Hackman's will is the point, which has shocked everyone, even his own buried children in the legal. These papers are discoveries that she knew shed some light on his tough and strained, jetting along with his kids. Hackman, known for his parts in the French link between Unforgiven and the Royal Tenenbaums, had been quietly gathering a lot of money from more than just acting, but also from investing in real estate. It is his main home, a huge farm. He and she were in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Betsy Arakawa, his wife, lived until their deaths. The house is said to be worth being careful with. Millions was part of his managed a collection of money that also, besides other real estate holdings, account investments. What has really, many were shocked when he told them about his will, which has brought about unexpected problems that raise questions about what would happen to his money and his friendship with his kids. According to court papers put in the first court for the District of New Mexico, and Business Insider got them, Hackman's will gave all of his property to, along with his wife Betsy Arakawa Hackman, as Thea, new director for his living trust in the 2005 will. It says, "I give my whole gave her land to Betsy Arakawa Hackman as the taking over as director of the Gene Hackman Living Trust, based on a trust deal from September 22, 1995, as changed and restated from time to time, most recently on the same day as this will, that she was in charge of carrying out the directions from the trust, the details of which are kept secret unless challenged. Trust and estate lawyer in New York, Lawrence D. Mandelker, who isn't linked in the case, said, "That's a way of I'm giving it to the trust," he said. Arrangement protected privacy and kept the facts from public view. Jason Coe, an estate lawyer, also not involved in the thing being talked about. Hackman's will as a pour-over will, a way that most people avoid making the estate sale to the public. What happened, as a surprise, was the apparently far away, how Hackman's 3 kids were treated. Christopher, from his first marriage, Ellen Jean Hackman, and Leslie Ann Allen. They only had names in the will to agree with their life without any talk of inheritance or certain gifts. Estate experts suggest that they could still be added, not in the trust, but unless a problem comes up, the facts are still there. Kohut brought up the fact that it was hidden. That this kind of setup was used, there's no sign of whether his kids will be the best thing ever. One of the most important advantages problems with carrying out the will came from the own Betsy Arakawa Hackman will that had a surprising effect provision documents that the business got. Someone inside the company said that if she died before Hackman, her fortune would be to the living trust of Gene Hackman. If he died first, her will said that be given to charity. The problem came up because of a very important part of her will. No one will be thought to have lived through me if the person dies within 90 days before I died. Hackman 95 and Arakawa. They were found dead in their at-home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in late February. Investigators found that about a week before, Arakawa Hackman had died. Before Hackman, with the reason for her death, given the name her virus lung syndrome. There are problems with Hackman linked to Alzheimer's and heart disease quickly after the disease died, because his death happened in the 90-day window. The part of her will treated him as having died before her, giving her entire wealth to charity. Mandelker talked about the strange law cause. Even though he was still alive based on this will when she died, he is thought to have died before her. That means all of her stuff will go to charity. The difficulty of this rule has caused people to wonder if anything will be given to Hackman's kids. Not at all. Or if the whole estate will stay locked up in the trust. Hackman's wealth is shrouded in mystery, grows because of the couple's extreme measures to protect privacy. Court papers filed by Julia L. Peters, who is the chief lawyer at the Avalon Trust Wealth Management Company and the current lawyer for Hackman's. The will says that Hackman and his wife placed a lot of value on their privacy and took deliberate steps to be careful, steps to keep their information safe. As of what the exact details of the trust are, who gets what and how the money is spent, distributed, stay hidden. Assers. The court case goes on. The question remains, did Hackman on purpose set up his estate so that what his kids would get? Or was this an unexpected effect of the law? Hackman's death was caused by details. Has not only made people curious about the strange events that happened to his death, but also sparked a fiercer court case over his huge farm with a net worth of about $80 million. What happened to his money has become a very controversial problem in both lawyers and the public speculation. Reports say that Hackman has already had his son, Christopher, hired California to take legal action. Andrew M. is a trust and estate lawyer. TMZ says that Katzenstein is the friendship between Hackman and Steve, and their first child over the years could make the case more difficult. Still, Christopher seems driven to challenge the will. Talk is also going around that his little girls, Elizabeth and Leslie, are getting ready to do the same with some. Several sources say they are thinking about following the law to get their share of the fortune. That Leslie Ann, 58, told the Daily Mail that she hadn't talked to her dad for weeks before, after he died. They stayed close. Death didn't come as a big surprise because he was 95 years old. She said, "I hadn't talked to they had for a few months, but everything was fine and normal. But her latest actions make it look like she is now second-guessing her dad's last wishes." Out of the 3 children, Leslie is said to be the most driven to fight her will. She's been fiercely. She wants her share of the fortune, making it clear that she's not going to back down quickly. If rumors are true, both Liz and Leslie might soon join. They joined their brother in the fight. Court, the people, is very split on this issue. Over the issue, online message boards have been a lively discussion, with some commenters declaring doubt about the children's right to the money. Someone said something on social media shows how close they really were. He didn't seem to like his very much. Kids, and it looks like they agreed. Others asked about the order of events, one responder writing, 3 kids, and it took the police a week to find them. You shouldn't go to them. But there are also people who I think Hackman's money should go to his family instead of for a good cause. One Instagram user urged that the charity should be that money should not have been taken. Give it to his kids. The difference between what people think and this is all that legal analysis has done, case more controversial. For now, the world waits for the fight to end. Hackman's Left Behind goes on, whether this argument ends with a village or turns into a long fight in court. It is clear that the actor's last wishes was more than just a Hollywood star. They have caused a storm of legalas. Well as mental turmoil, the shocking Gene Hackman and his wife died. Betsy Arakawa have seen even worse turn. As the police keep to look into the situation, details about their death that were just shared. The video from police body cameras has shed light on the sad finding of the couple, while forensic research is still going on. Statements from witnesses have only whirling added to the mystery. There were reports of possible foul play, and Hackman's daughter Leslie is said to, while the case is being looked into. In a dramatic turn, police arrived at their home in Santa Fe last month after worried workers set off alarms about their absence. Video from their body camera caught the emotional responses of people who knew the couple and worked for them, with one worker in repair breaking. He was just a normal person, and to see that he was sorry, he said, she was clearly upset. She was a sweetheart. Films that show real sadness have only made people want to know what went on in the Hackman home during their last days. While both died were found to have happened because nature events that changed the order of things has brought up important questions. Investigators are now looking at safety measures, footage from Hackman's home in Annework, to piece together the order of things that led to their deaths. 1. The most chilling element was the discovering that their dog had died, which is thought to have died from being thirsty and going hungry. The fact that their pets some have died after being left alone for days. Ask if anyone close to them was aware that they were getting worse. Situation but did not do anything about it. 2 dogs that were still alive were later saved, with Hackman's daughter was called by the cops, Elizabeth, to make plans for their adoption. They knew Gene and Betsy and took I'm here to take my dogs to Santa Fe trails. Please help me. But I can't adopt the dogs. Joseph, who is friends with the couple, thank you. Joseph, Elizabeth answered in a soft voice, filled with sadness as the study went on. It turns out that friends and neighbors have moved forward with stories about the couple's last days. Some people remember seeing Arakawa being extremely quiet, while others saw that Hackman had stopped moving. I would talk to him on his regular walks, having dinner with her almost every week. That stopped, one worker said, making it seem like something might have been amiss before they died. Because of the legal conflict, the criminal. The study is still the main concern for the police. Investigators are currently looking at security footage. Hackman looked at call logs from his home and speaking with people who had in touch with the couple in their last days. Any possible family connections, members such as Leslie, will be carefully looked over before the law enforcement shuts down the case. There are rumors going around that evidence is getting worse for Leslie Hackman, with investigators are said to be focusing on her new acts and financial transactions. If strong proof comes up, Leslie could be charged with a crime. Some people think she might even be if they are found guilty of wrongdoing. The authorities are still mum about not the facts, but lawyers say that any help with manipulating the things that happened in Hackman's death could lead to big problems. What happened as the investigation continues, the public is still split. Some people say Leslie is being unfair because of the inheritance issue. Some people think fairness should be served if she had any part in the tragedy. The court cases and crime cases, the areas around Gene Hackman's home are not over yet, with his will leaving giving everything to a charity trust. Children have a hard time in their fight over a fortune. Lawyers say that unless they can show that it was unfair inability to think or act clearly because Hackman has Alzheimer's, the courts are not likely to change his last wishes. But because the stakes were so high, legal conflicts are almost certain to happen. At the same time, the probe into Leslie Hackman's possible role with her dad's death is still going on, but no official. There have been charges made, and authorities are being said to be looking at bank records and video clips from any revealing proof of guilt. If prosecutors make a case against her, she could go to jail, severe legal penalties, such possible time in jail. Experts say that even if Leslie is found not guilty, getting involved in the debate could make her formal claim to the estate less strong. Any link to crime, even if not proven, can make people question a claimant's credibility in fights over inheritance, said a well-known real estate lawyer. If Leslie were charged, the case could take a dramatic move that could work not only for her, but also for her brothers as well. For now, the Hackman. The family is still involved in law, and the public is interested in whether the children will get any of their dad's money, or if the charity will be in charge. Still unknown, but one thing is certain: the fight over Hackman's body of work is only just beginning.